Hey guys, this is Amber with Story Chasing, and a lot of you guys wanted to know more about my new bike setup on the back of my Heimer Active, which is on a Rad Promaster chassis, and I have it on a Swingaway arm with the e-bike. It is a RadMini, and I'll get to that in a minute, but this entire video is just about how I have it set up on the van and all of the different accessories that I used to get it set up properly. It took me quite a while to figure out my setup. I had to do a lot of research to figure out the Swingaway arm situation and how it was going to accommodate the back of my van where I could open up the doors. It also had to hold the weight of an e-bike, which is heavier than your traditional bikes. And it also had to accommodate fat tires. So I had a lot of different requirements. This particular bike is a RadMini, and you can actually fold it and stick it in the back of your van if you have the room underneath your bed. I do not, because I have a lot of stuff under there. So towing it behind on the bike rack was my best option. So one of the reasons that I went with the Rocky Mount Swingaway bike rack is because I access these doors all the time, and I wanted to make sure that I could get into them very easily. So as you saw earlier, all you need to do is twist that little knob around and pull up a lever, and you can swing the bike rack out of the way. You can see it's swung back pretty far right now. I could even go further if I wanted to. Let's just try that real quick. You can see the doors in that position will slightly hit that bike if I put it here, but it opens up enough you can get in and out easily if you want. But let's go ahead and move that back a little further. So now it's in its fully moved position. All you need to do now, pull this back, and it comes all the way back. The door is sitting on its own and fully extended now. So this door can actually go back around and kind of hit the other side of the van, but we don't want to do that, of course. I never put it that far back. It usually gets in the way of the awning anyway, so I don't do that. I can actually access both doors if I went ahead and opened this spare tire Swingaway, but I'm not going to do that right now. The point is the Swingaway bike rack, so it allows me to fully open up the doors. For my setup, because I wanted to clear the spare tire, which is also on a Swingaway arm, I needed to get an extender. Now here's the extender. It's an 8-inch extender that I added to my hitch. That allowed me to actually take the bike rack here and slide it into the extender and get that clearance that I needed. The bike rack actually came with a locking pin, which I have here, and another locking pin over here for the extender. So you might be wondering what this is in this yellow bar. This is actually a hitch tightener that I got because there was a lot of play with this arm, which there's not now, but it would bounce up and down a little bit, and you don't want the bounce. So I added this hitch tightener that locks on to the hitch and then to the extender, and then you tighten it down with these bolts, and it's super tight. You can see there's just no wiggle room at all on this thing. Nothing. One of the important safety features too of the bike, it's an electric bike, and as we know, bikes get stolen quite often. They're very expensive, and so you want to make sure you have a good chain or some kind of security for your bike rack or for your bike. So here we have the Kryptonite security chain. It's very, very heavy. It's also a combination lock, which I really like, so you don't have to carry keys with you. I have plenty of keys as it is. So I use this to lock it on the frame, and if I have the bike off and just sitting on the ground, usually I'll lock it to the front of my van on the brush guard. It's perfect. The other security item that came with the bike mount is this cable. So I wrap this cable through the frame, and you can this end of it right here actually goes into the locking pin that's down below for the bike mount. And so once I have the bike mounted and I'm ready to travel, I'll go ahead and wrap this around the frame and lock it all down that way. So just another security measure in case something fails. It's gonna keep this nice and tight and keep the bike secured to the back of the van. So far I've driven with this bike and the bike mount and this entire system from Flagstaff, Arizona, all the way to Colorado, and with that additional hitch tightener. Now the hitch tightener was a game changer. It was bouncing around all over the place. I'm on BLM land a lot, or National Forest land, so the roads get a little bit rocky and kind of turbulent. So I want to make sure that this thing is not bouncing around too much and putting too much stress on the actual hitch. So that hitch tightener has really helped. I actually love this setup. I actually would open up the blinds in the back of my window and then I can look through my rearview mirror and see how much it's bouncing up and down through that mirror while I'm driving. And most of the time it's only going from side to side just a little bit, but not up and down. So you want to be really careful about that. I highly recommend the hitch tighteners. Now the extender is why you're going to get some of that bounce, and I had to have the extender in order to clear that spare tire behind me. With the extender, with it extending the bike rack out a little bit, the more you extend it, the more bounce and play you're gonna get. So that's why I wanted to get that hitch tightener on there and get it as close as possible to the actual van so that we're not having a lot of movement back there and putting too much stress on that actual hitch. I usually like to travel with the battery on the bike. Now, you know, obviously if you take the battery off of the bike, it's going to create less weight on the back. But the problem with that too is if you don't have the battery in, then any dirt or debris that gets through that VeloSock is actually going to get inside the little connectors to the battery, and that's what I didn't want to have happen. I could probably fashion some kind of a cloth or something around it, but I just wanted to be careful and keep that all nicely connected so that I don't get any dirt inside there. The VeloSock, as you saw, what I love about it is it keeps most of the dirt out, it keeps most of the rain out. It's not completely waterproof, but when I was in Palm Springs, it rained literally for like 4 days and there was like a couple of droplets in there. Not a big deal at all. And the biggest thing is when you're traveling, if you guys have ever had a bike on the back of your van or a car and you had some kind of a tarp or bike cover over it, you know that it just rattles around and you get all this noise and it could fly off. So you have to tie it down with a bunch of bungee cords and things to keep it from doing that. This VeloSock keeps you from having to put all those bungee cords and stuff on there, and that's what I really like about it. Plus it has a very small footprint, and so when it's off and you need to put it away and store it while you're just staying still, then it's a very nice small footprint. It comes in a little sack that you can put it in, and it just makes it nice. So that's what I really love about it. But overall, I really love my setup, and I love that I got the bike finally and the bike rack. It took me a while to do it, but I am in love with it. One of the reasons I decided to go with the e-bike is because, one, I just miss riding a bike. I love riding bicycles. I love riding bicycles, and this gets me outdoors and I'm able to ride my bike like everywhere I want. It has the fat tires, so it's great on BLM and National Forest. The other great thing is that you can go into town with it, you can scout out land, which I've done, and it's just a nice way to get outside and do some more exploring. And so that's why I decided to go ahead and get it. It's been 2 years since I've had a bike, when I was in my Class C before, and so I really missed it. And I'm so happy that I finally got another bike. I love that it's fat tire. I love that I can take it anywhere I want, and I love the ease of being able to travel with it now. Well guys, that's a wrap up of my e-bike series. I wanted to show you everything about how it's set up in my van in this video, but if you missed my other 2 videos in this series, you can click right over here, and if you click over here, there's another video about the Rocky Mounts Swingaway bike rack that I have on the back of the van. Consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload videos, which I do once a week on Thursdays.